I'm here with George Fox, our resident kit expert. George, how are we doing?
I'm very good, Callum. It's slightly chilly today, but not too bad. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. So George, today, what are we going to be looking at?
Today, we've got an interesting topic. If you could design any piece of equipment for cricket, what would it be? Something that maybe doesn't exist at all, or something that maybe does exist in a different field of sport or activity that you think that'd be really useful in cricket. I think there's quite a few items that I would love to either magic out of thin air or bring across from somewhere else. And everyone's got something, and I'd like to find out what those things are. So if I get the ball rolling with a few ideas, hopefully some people are going to go, that's a rubbish idea. I've got a much better idea. And then they'll, suggest it. So hopefully we can start a bit of chat.
Nice. I mean, I'd go for a wider bat. It's probably my first recommendation.
I think there's online there's an image of a bat that was brought out that was deemed completely illegal because it was wider than the stumps.
That sounds right.
Black and white photo. I bet we could find that and put that up. That would be cool.
Yeah. It sounds about right to me. I think I like that. It's already too heavily in favour of the bowlers these days, so the batters need all the help they can get.
Brilliant. This is one that I have a lot of personal beef with. Toe guards. So as a batter, as an opening batter, I believe you were also an opening batter. Yeah. Get a lot of fast balls. The ball's new. The ball's, bowler's got a lot of energy. He wants to prove a point and he wants to break your toes. And also netting as well, toe guards. For some reason, there's also a trend at the moment to take running shoes and spike them up and use them in cricket. And I've got more protection from a cricket ball, probably in my slippers. I'm old, so I can have slippers. Thank you very much. Than in the average cricket shoe. They don't seem to take into account the fact that an 80-mile-an-hour Yorker will probably break a lot of your toes. And in professional cricket, this is actually a major problem. I think every single county team will have at least one player who's out for a period of time because of broken toes. If you take into account their salary, that's quite a lot of money due to the fact that he could have been wearing a toe guard. And maybe it doesn't need to be a steel one. We're not on a site somewhere, but just something that's a bit better than nothing. Even a little removable one that you could sneak into these trainers would probably work quite well. So there's going to be an ergonomic challenge there. But that's definitely, that would kick it off for me. That would be number one.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I'm one of those guilty parties with spiked up trainers. So I feel a bit hypocritical now.
So that would definitely get the ball rolling. The second one is going back to net training. The protective equipment that we tend to wear seems to be the same, whether it's match play or whether it's practice. If you look at rugby and you're doing sort of ruck training, whatever it may be, there's all sorts of amounts. There's all different types of body armor that people wear, because they're doing something that they know there's going to be a high risk of impact. They're coming into each other. It's like watching a car crash when you see like high level rugby, and they're doing it again and again and again. So they're going to pad up because they're training for, the repetition of the procedure rather than, in a game situation. So let's say you're a, sort of 12, 13-year-old kid, you're practicing against a short ball. It's a bit quick. It's coming up at you. Like a lot of the time, they're not even wearing an arm guard. But what about having an extra large chest guard or additional padding for that short ball, so that you're doing it again and again and again because you're trying to get that sort of reflex or muscle memory working. That would be, again, I've never seen anything specifically for that purpose, and it exists in other sports. You get it in baseball, and obviously you can custom make that sort of thing. But again, off the shelf, short ball training, coaching aids, I don't know, maybe something like that would be quite useful.
The way that you say you can make something like that. You can, George. Most people can't.
Well, other protective brands are available, of course. But yeah, it is something that has been made in the past, and it's always just surprised me because injuries tend to happen a lot in training because either it's just a repetition, you're tired, you're bored, you're thinking of something else. In a match, you've got the adrenaline, you're absolutely on it. You're going, oh, come on, you're waiting for it, rather than, like, oh, yeah, it's got to do this for 20 minutes. Then, one comes up a bit sharp and catches you. So that'd be another thing. So I'm looking down because I have done a little bit of research. Here's one, something to stop the stumps. Well, so on a regular grass pitch, when someone, like the batsman dives and it's a dramatic thing and the stumps are just completely heaved over and you just think, oh yeah, well done, that's just completely ruined it. And they're never quite the same again. There's kind of on a bit of a wonk, you try and get it straight and does that again. You just think, oh, that, and a bit of sand, a bit of sawdust, you put it in and it does that. And something to just, how can you do a better job of keeping stumps up nice and straight on the average sort of club pitch, where, the ground staff hasn't maybe been able to give it the amount of time or attention that it can be. I'm all in favour of wonky stumps as a batsman, especially if they go in a bit.
Yep.
But even so, I just wonder if there's something that could be done with that, like, better, deeper root structure. I don't know, but that's something that gets me.
Might be something to do with, even this more around the stumps. Do you create a longer spike on the stump, like a small metal spike off the wood to actually let it go further into the ground easily, so
Yes.
that then you can get it back upright with maybe a gauge at the top that you just put on top and pull it together, and that's it, off you go.
There you go. I think stumps, that could end up being a massive topic, but also maybe for a lot of people a boring topic. I don't know. Feedback. Let us know your thoughts. Could go into that. There's all sorts. I know in Australia you've got the solid metal ones that are great, but they can damage the ball. It's an interesting topic. I've always got memories of, like, when there's always that net every club's got that's got a set of spring-loaded stumps, but one of them's just permanently just like, nah, can't be bothered today. I'm just going to stay down.
Smashed to pieces.
Yes.
Normally.
And everyone's making out that it was them when they were bowling, but it really isn't. It's just some kid had an angry fit and smashed it with their bat. So here's one that can actually directly translate, and I'm always surprised how few people do it, and I don't know if it's an ego thing or because people are worried about getting a bit of jip, but shin guards when you're fielding. So you always talk, put the long barrier down, here you go, ball's coming in, and it just absolutely thumps you right on the bony bit of the knee. I don't care about the macho side of things, or people grinning and bearing it. That's really painful. It really hurts, and then you have to get up and run, and it's just hit you on the knee. It really hurts. I would.
There's an old school method for that, George, which I was told when I was a kid, and I'm sure you may well have been told too, which was to use your hands.
Yeah, I try to, but it keeps moving. That's the problem.
I once got hit in the shin, and doesn't it?
The amount of times everyone's always seen someone when they, runs on, goes down to face the ball, and at the last second it hits something, and it gets it. I was going to stop it, but it moved. Again, I know reactions, timing. I'm getting worse. I was never very good in the first place. But I think just a pair of shin guards that's for hockey, from football, something like that. It's actually quite a useful bit of kit just to have in your bag. And I don't know, is it because in the locker room do people give you a bit of jip if you're putting them on? Like, I don't know. It's a funny sport. Here's a good one. So wicket keepers. Wicket keeper gloves have always puzzled me, because there's like solid leather back to back. You get your little finger ends. What stops? There's nothing really to stop the fingers from bending back. And I've got a couple of friends who keep, whether it's on the pro circuit and I'm sort of making stuff for them, or just people who've been around for a long time. And there's a famous picture. I'm going to have to find this picture online and post it, of an ex-international keeper. He's putting his hand up like that, and it's just like completely destroyed. And you think, is there something that can help do a better job? Like some gloves that don't bend all the way backwards. Maybe, I don't know, you can get like sort of, think about in nature, like when you get, what are those beetles called? They get all the sections. An armadillo, something? Yeah, anyway. There's some sort of structure that maybe could be created so you can go forwards, but you can't go backwards, so that it can't go past a certain point. It's not so that you can increase the chance of catching. You don't want to make it unfair. You don't want the equivalent of like a super glue palm that just, like a Velcro ball, like those sort of Christmas kits you get when everyone's bored. But something, the keepers have a hard time in the first place, their knees and anyway. So yeah, there's another one. And last one I've thought on is straps for your pads. They never fit when I was a kid. I'm a scrawny little thing when I still am now. And you put your batting pads on, you do it up nice and tight, and you've got about 1 meter of strap just flapping around. You think, what am I going to do with that? So sort of wrap it around again or tie it. And the amount of times people have brought me a pair of pads and they say, can you adjust these pads for me? And I say, yeah, put them on, and mark with a thing. And the Velcro bit isn't anywhere near where they want it to be. And you've had to, so I'll cut the Velcro off, cut off the excess, re-sew so it's, nice and correct for them. Is there a better way of doing that perhaps? Again, I'm going to do a shameless push. And that's why, for example, on the Stretton Fox, other brands are available, thigh pads, it's a detachable strap, so you fit it anywhere. So it doesn't matter if you're skinny, it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter. You'd put it on exactly where you want it. Surely that could be done for batting pads as well. You can have like a system where, it's attached on one side and you have the loop on the other side and you thread through and back. Why don't you have 2 loops and a separate piece that attaches, that goes through back on itself, so it's nice and tight, and then that way there's no excess flapping around. Because also if the ball catches that, sometimes people hear that nick and it's just annoying, gets in the way. Or when you're running, you catch the loose bit and it undoes the pad, and you're halfway down the crease, and suddenly your pad's just doing this on your leg, and you're like, oh, and it all gets a bit awkward and embarrassing, and it's not quite the sort of Pinterest-worthy, Instagrammable, cricket game that you were imagining. It's just chaos. All for a simple solution that could have been found with a bit of shorter Velcro. I don't know.
I love that. I mean, you've probably just talked yourself into sorting out my pad straps because they're always too long. So they'll be coming your way pretty soon.
Yeah. You wake up one day with all these pads lined up, saying, "Yeah, just here, please, mate." Yeah. They are.
But yeah, I mean, I guess that if anyone does have any questions for George or wants to push back at what George has said, we want the bad with the good. It's at cricket@burco.co.uk and it's on the website burco.co.uk. So get looking and email in. I think to finish, George, you got a bit of a sort of a true or false moment for us. What have you got for us this week?
Yes, I was thinking, what would be a fact about cricket equipment that may or may not be true? See what you think. Answers on a postcard or just email. So the first one is that cricket balls, obviously the inside, the centre's made out of cork. Originally, those cork centres used to be cubes, and you would actually bind them so tight that it would eventually become the ball that you would then encase in the leather. So that's my first one. So cricket balls, centres used to be cubes rather than balls. Is that true or false?
Like it, like that. George, great to see you this week. You take care, and we'll catch up with you next time.
Thank you, Callum. Take care.